you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of NETMA. I am your host, Tyler FALK. Glad you could join us here on a Monday edition. And we start with breaking news coming out of St. Louis. It has been released to me that quarterback Christian Brown will be testing free agency at the beginning of the offseason. So it's not just Cairo Martinez. It's not just Eagle Mondavi or Gerald Winkler that are leaving the club. Those three leaving and possibly retiring. Christian Brown would like to stay in the league, but his time with St. Louis will come to an end when St. Louis's does, whenever that might be in the offseason. So Christian Brown, a big name coming off of St. Louis. Christian Brown reached out to me personally with this news, so I'm breaking it live for the first time. You're all hearing it. He did reach out to me with a couple of quotes. I'm going to go ahead and read what Christian would like me to read out to all of you in his statement. So, quote from Christian Brown reads, "I will be testing free agency in the upcoming offseason on the heels of the upcoming departure of Cairo Martinez, Gerald Winkler, and Eagle Mondavi. I will be looking for a new team to take my talents to in the upcoming season. This was a decision I made with a heavy heart, as I have nothing but love and respect." Lost my place here. Nothing but love for everyone in St. Louis, especially the ownership. I feel I would be utilized much better in a different style offense, and it is time for me to test that out. I will be playing all my remaining games this season, just enjoying my teammates and cherishing the time I have spent here. I have decided to let St. Louis know at this time so that they have all the time they need replacing me, as I have nothing but the utmost respect for them and wish them continued success. I wish Christian Brown the best in his endeavors, and again, wish Christian all the best as he goes into the foray of free agency. And knowing Christian and what the kind of caliber, not just talent on the field, but the talent that he has and shows throughout the entirety of his career, not just as a player, of course, but as a person. He has been the longest tenured quarterback in St. Louis history for quite a few seasons. A lot of one-and-doners. Johnny Pickler, Cairo Martinez. There was rumors of him maybe being one and done when he took the reins in St. Louis 3 seasons ago when he was a rookie. He has decided that, I'm going to stick around, see out my playing career here for a little bit, and give St. Louis all that I can. And unfortunately for St. Louis, I think they're losing not just a quality player, but a upright and outstanding individual in Christian Brown. And again, this is with the most respect to the organization, both from myself and from Christian. This is again, made with a heavy heart from Christian. And let's just go over his numbers real quick from his time up to this point with the Gladiators. He's just over 8,000 yards passing in his first 3 seasons in the league, all of them spent with St. Louis. He has now reached 50 career touchdowns with his touchdowns this past week in Week 9 versus Florida. He has thrown 72 interceptions, sacked 71 times. This sack so far, he's been the least sacked in his career with 14 compared to his rookie season when he was sacked 38 times. So it's been an improvement in his time spent with the Gladiators. He has his most ever rushing yards with St. Louis with 39. So all in all, Christian has played very well, taking the team to the playoffs in both seasons that he has been under center, the St. Louis offense. And so for Christian Brown, all the luck to him. There's a couple of teams I know that'll be looking for quarterbacks in the offseason, potentially, and hopefully he lands a spot just because, again, he's a solid quarterback and an even more solid individual. So, again, good luck to Christian as he goes out into the free agency market at the end of this season. Okay, with that off the belt, Week 9 was crazy. Week 9 was absolutely crazy. A lot of fantastic games that we got to get to cover. And I'm sure, as I've already seen a couple people chime in and chat, yeah, a lot of people didn't see this coming. A lot of people didn't see Christian leaving. There's some frustration possibly in SFL Nation. Go ahead, let us know what you think in the comments section. Let us know in SFL Discord. Link to the Discord is in the official SFL website. Link to that is in the bottom of the description. Also, links to a bunch of other stuff are down there, including the NETMA official Discord server if you would like to get involved with that. But that's the big bombshell, ladies and gentlemen. Christian Brown out in St. Louis, and that's going to be a huge talking point as we go through the next couple of days. On to Week 9's games, and there were some changes, a lot of flips around. Let's go ahead and get started. Should we? First game being Vancouver, Mexico City, and it was a smooth start for Vancouver, but a very awkward and weird aftertaste for the Legion. They went up by 21 points. It was 21-0 in the beginning of that second quarter. And then all of a sudden they let Mexico City right back into it. And it took a little bit for the Legion to eventually put Mexico City away. I don't think it should have been that easy for Mexico City to get back into it, but that's the quality of coaching that Mexico City have. And you have to play the entire 44 minutes of regulation to maintain a lead in this league. And for Vancouver, it's kind of scary. Their offense is dangerous. Their defense has been, a little bit out of sorts for the majority of their tenure in the league. But another win all the same. You don't say how you get them, but how many you get. 7-1 Vancouver. If it hadn't been maybe your injury to Robert Redford against Charleston, we could have seen Vancouver maybe go undefeated and challenge Baltimore for who's going undefeated over this entire season. So Vancouver get another win. Mexico City, a very tough loss at home. All right, on to game number 2, and it's a donut at home with 0 touchdowns to the opposition. And the only way I can describe it is kicked into submission. Louisiana, 5 field goals from Otis Boudreaux, a bunch of a couple of interceptions thrown by Cairo Martinez. Louisiana come out with another strong victory. The defenses played phenomenally, both Charleston's and Louisiana's. Everyone would look into this game and think, Charleston gave up five scores, 5 field goals. How is that good defense? Well, if Cairo maybe hadn't taken some time away, and I'm sure there was definitely some personal things going on that I'm not going to get into that whole crazy, but Cairo Martinez has taken a step back from being on the outside of the league for a season, did take a step back. And unfortunately for Charleston, they're going to get these tough losses. It was a very tough loss versus Louisiana. They go back to 500. Louisiana, 6-2. I kind of like this being in the green and blue, but I'm not sure what to think, to be honest. Just full disclosure right now. I love that we've won a few games. I love that we're 6-2 and looking to get into the playoffs for the first time in a few seasons. But not being able to score touchdowns on a regular basis is it's a little disconcerting if we have to go up against teams like Baltimore, or even Vancouver or Mexico City, which we're going to have to. We're going to play Florida this week, and if we can't score a touchdown versus Florida, I'm kind of scared because we gotta play tight, nip and tuck defense the entire way versus Florida. So hopefully we come out with a victory there. But then again, if we can just kick teams into submission like we did versus Charleston, I'll be quite happy with that. Anywho, moving on, and there they are. There's Atlanta. There's the Atlanta we know and love. Still not a whole lot of yards thrown by Bryant Dynasty this past week, but they do come away with a solid victory in Marcus Dunhill's return to Atlanta. It was a very solid day, all told, for the Atlanta Swarm. A very nice return to form after getting trounced by Las Vegas. Marcus Dunhill did play fairly well. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, however. The running game just couldn't get going. Jared Willis, who had been, a lightning rod for the Kings, who just was held in check, only 33 yards on the ground. Well, Atlanta, BDG Hollywood led the way, especially in that second half. Third quarter, it was Hollywood run after Hollywood run, and it was not just a little scamper. It was 10, 15 yards sometimes for BDG. So Atlanta, well, I just looked over the second and saw Kendra say our team should play Vancouver. That's why I said it. But Atlanta come away with a very solid win. They're right back in the hunt, 4-3, 2 games behind. Maybe a game and a half behind, or 2.5 games behind. My math is wrong. Behind division leaders Louisiana, and a game behind Tulsa. Surprisingly, who thought Tulsa would be 5-3 at this point in the season? Very, very happy. It's a feel-good story, Tulsa, this season. So, all right, moving on to game number 4, and there are some cracks forming in Baltimore. I don't know if you guys caught this, but there were 2 touchdowns thrown by Jack Wigmore on the goal line. So, if Sioux Falls maybe had solidified their passing attack a little more and kept that same defense, we might be talking about the first loss of the season for Baltimore. I loved how Sioux Falls played. Yes, the running game didn't get going a whole lot as Sioux Falls maybe would have liked to, but I was really, really impressed with Sioux Falls. It was a late victory, or late end of that game for Baltimore where they finally got a touchdown. It was 21-24. Sioux Falls kept it close. Sioux Falls kept that game close. I was very impressed by Sioux Falls. They've come a long way in the past couple of seasons from being more of a run team to giving Tyree more control over the air attack. And I think Baltimore should be a little concerned. I think, they're going to end the season. At this point, it's not official yet, but Baltimore's in the playoffs, in my opinion. I think they're the first team that, maybe have automatically clinched a spot, maybe unofficially. All the, odds and ends haven't been gone through yet, but I think Baltimore's a shoe-in into the playoffs at this point. So keep an eye on this game. Watch this game. Teams that have to play Baltimore next, teams like Denver, DC, Arizona, Queen City, maybe even Las Vegas. Keep an eye on this game. Watch this game. This game might be your blueprint to how you guys take down Baltimore. So if it's not this game for any of those teams, it's teams in the playoffs. They're going to have to watch this game. Watch how the defense was schemed. Watch how Sioux Falls took Baltimore to task for nearly 44 minutes and nearly won this football game. I give Sioux Falls full credit here in this game for keeping Baltimore in check. As I look over in chat, Michael Neal says, how do you feel about Jimmy leaving? Are you talking about Jimmy Hazard? Let me know, Mike. As far as how Warren Murray came in, Warren Murray was solid, I thought. And someone that's going to be a reliable back he was a reliable back in Houston. He's going to be a reliable back in Baltimore. And it's just going to take some time for him to get used to Baltimore's playing style. All right, on to the game Sunday. London and Las Vegas charity game. 12 turnovers combined by both teams. 2 fumbles, one of which was on a kickoff by Chris Britton fumbling it and returned by a backup defensive tackle for London. And 8 turnovers for Las Vegas. 8. Pickler threw 4 in a victory. He did throw a touchdown, so he's the second quarterback this season. He accompanies Bryant Dynasty throw 4 interceptions and throw a touchdown and win a game. So this was a sloppy game. There's no odds and ends about it. The defenses were great, were fantastic. The offenses need to be a little bit more consistent as far as keeping the ball to, their own players, because you're not going to beat teams like Baltimore or Vancouver if you're giving the ball away 8 times, because Vancouver's already shown they can take away the ball 8 times. Or, excuse me, Jacksonville has shown. No, it was Vancouver 8 times over Jacksonville. I know it was the Jacksonville-Vancouver game. Quote me on it. Anywho, back to Michael Neal's question real quick. He says, yeah, I'm talking about Jimmy Hazard. And how do I feel about it? Hazard was a great guy going through the league. He had to correct me a couple of times for calling his last name Hazard, like Eden Hazard, the football player over in the UK. Football being soccer for us Yanks. But as far as the playbook goes, I think Warren Murray's going to slot right in. Yes, he's a different style of back in terms of Jimmy compared to Warren, but I think Warren will be just fine in Baltimore. I don't think there should be really too much cause for concern over in Vulture's territory. All right, on to the next game in right time for Tulsa, as Carolina are closing in on the red zone at the 14-yard line. Wright comes up with the pick 6 to seal it for Tulsa. Right time, right place for Mr. Wright. I'm trying to remember his first name. Daniel Wright. There we go. 84-yard pick 6 to seal the game versus Carolina. And Tulsa, 5-3. Color me impressed. They've had to, pile on Carolina's misery a little bit, but color me impressed. Tulsa led by a very strong defensive performance. Daniel Wright's pick 6 was his hat trick interception as well. So what a way to cap off a phenomenal game for the Desperados. JQ didn't have to do too much. Did throw a touchdown. Did throw 2 interceptions. Only 178 yards. But again, if your defense is going to pick off the ball 4 times and put you in excellent field position, you don't really have to do too much. So there we go. Tulsa with a very nice victory over Carolina. And we're going to continue on rolling here as we go to game of the week. Easily, slowly but surely, the Fort Worth Toros make a dramatic 21-point comeback. Down 31-10 at half. It looked like San Diego were going to fly away with it. And then everything just got weird, didn't it? Vancouver start putting drives together. Fort Worth put drives together. It seemed like the inevitable was going to happen, right? Johnny Reno, 2 rookie quarterbacks, by the way. What a game for both quarterbacks. 211 yards for Reno, most of those coming in the second half. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for Reno. Patterson played really well for San Diego. 3 interceptions, including a back-breaking interception to Adam Leach in overtime. But he did throw 4 touchdowns. If they can close out football games, if San Diego can close out football games, they win this game handily. And that's something that the coaching staff will get right eventually. But Fort Worth keep their slim, but they're there, playoff chances alive with maybe a victory that leads them on to getting into the playoffs. It would be a comeback for the ages, not just with this comeback, but if they were to come back all the way to 6-6, it might be the story of the season if it starts with this game. But truly a crazy game. Rookie quarterbacks on display. I heard it in the post game debrief. It might be game of the season. It's definitely on the docket in my opinion. But that's all up for everybody in SFL Nation to decide. But what a good game! Watch the highlights. You'll thoroughly enjoy that comeback game, and especially enjoy the fireworks provided by San Diego in the first half. All right, on to another game which involved kicking and is kicked out. Portland, that is, in 0-8 now for the Portland Fleet. Nothing's official yet, but I think Portland are out of the playoffs. I think their regular season their entire season will end in week 14 when they take on when they play LA at home. It's a very, very tough game and a very, very tough pill to swallow. They took the lead near the end of that football game, and then Lone Star marched down with no timeouts. They trot out James Troll in the dying embers, kick a go-ahead field goal with 2 seconds left on the clock, and Lone Star escape the trap game. It was a trap game in all sense of the word. Lone Star are, I'm not going to say lucky, but they had to work tooth and nail to get that victory over Portland. For Portland, it's a dark day. It's a dark day in Portland. For Lone Star, you're breathing a huge sigh of relief as the Glory move out to 5-3 and one of the top teams in the league in terms of strength of schedule, all that kind of stuff. You can check out the graphic that the commissioner Cameron Irvine posted in league content about where everyone sits in the playoff picture. That's a good read. Go check that out. That's in the SFL Discord, link to which is in the SFL website, link to which is down below. Okay, on to the next game, and it's Denver beating DC 30-17, and Dragons, DC, you there? You've lost 3 out of the last 4 after coming off a bye, which you hadn't lost a game. You play Arizona in Arizona before you go on your second and final bye. These losses are piling up, and I was almost joking when I said you maybe can't really have a second half slump like Queen City did, but that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what DC is doing. Have DC been figured out the same way Queen City were figured out last year? It's like history repeats itself in a way, right? Good teams, you'll start off the season hot, and all of a sudden everyone figures out what you're doing, and it just goes off the rails. It's a very, very weird looking DC team. Lots of mistakes, 2 fumbles in that game as well. Something needs to change. And they've played consistent football in the first trimester of the season, but it seems like it's not working anymore. Maybe a game against Arizona will change that, or the bye week to maybe game plan for Baltimore week 12 might help out. But as things stand, DC are in a little bit of trouble in my opinion. They need to change things around if they want to solidify a playoff spot. Okay, on to last 2 Sunday night games, and this is Houston and LA. And for Houston, they passed the eye test. And for those of you that don't understand that terminology, passing the eye test is if you look at a team and they seem like they have it together now. Houston, to me, have it together. After a couple of losses, yes, they're below 500 at 3-4. It's a tough Tex-Mex division. They're only down by about 2 games to Lone Star, but it's a very, very tight division. And Houston may end up going to the playoffs yet if they can find a few more wins. LA never looked like the better team in that football game. They always looked like they were very, very unsettled. The first half, they were okay. The second half, they eventually did take the lead and then let Houston come away with a game-winning drive. But LA never seemed to have the game entirely in their grasp. It was Houston, in my opinion, who held the momentum, held control, and the scoreline shows it. Dave Burr, his story continues, his remarkable career in Houston is writing its own legend, and to come and put together a 2-minute drill drive late in that football game to beat LA just goes to show you that they know what kind of quarterback they have in Houston now. I'm really liking this Houston team. Watch out if you play Houston this season or in the rest of the season. On to game number 10 now, and take notes, coaches. St. Louis, Florida, playing in the Monday Night Special, and they had the coaches on the call, going through the game plan, talking through what they called, especially on key touchdowns, mind you. And I think that style of format might need to be tweaked just a little bit. I liked hearing from great minds like Mighty, and hearing from the coaching staff of St. Louis about what they call, how they call it, what they're thinking, how the game planning goes. But it might be we call something in my line of work called intel oversight, where loose lips sink ships. If you give out too much of your game plan, teams are going to jump on it. So I'm not saying they gave out their entire game plan, but they gave out key pieces of the game plan that quality coaching staffs are going to look at and say, okay, we kind of have an idea of what they're going to do now. We've heard it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So it was good to hear the coaching side of the story. I think it should be maybe retired coaches or maybe I don't know, something like that. But I kind of like the Monday Night Special that was put on this past week. At the same time, I have some mixed feelings about it. What do you guys think about the Monday Night Special? Let us know in the comments. Okay, and that's going to do it for tonight's episode here on NETMA. Where does everybody stand? Well, the community didn't have such a great week. You guys are at 46 and 45 on who you got. I'd say I had a pretty good week and went 8-3 this past week. 50 and 41. I also did pretty well on my best bet of the season as well. So I'm currently at 7-2, and just like that, we are going to say farewell. So we're going to be right back here tomorrow. We've got Power Rankings and Top 10 going on tomorrow. Hopefully you guys check us out for that. Same place, same time, right here on NETMA. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon,